Welcome to Virtual News Hub. I'm Mac Green Jerry, bringing you the latest breaking news. Today, we're diving into a major diplomatic clash between President Donald Trump and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. With tensions at an all-time high, could the U.S. be on the verge of cutting off military aid to Ukraine? And what does this mean for the ongoing war with Russia? Stay with us as we break it all down. It's been a dramatic few days in Washington. Just last Friday, President Trump and President Zelensky had a high-stakes meeting in the Oval Office, one that did not go well. In fact, it ended in spectacular failure. Now, Trump's top officials are scrambling to figure out what happens next, including whether the U.S. will continue to provide crucial support to Ukraine. On Monday, Trump met with key members of his administration, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Their mission: to decide how the U.S. should move forward in dealing with Ukraine and whether military aid will continue. Trump's frustration with Zelensky has been boiling over since their Oval Office meeting. The U.S. has been Ukraine's biggest supporter in its war against Russia, but Trump is now questioning whether that support should continue. On Monday, Trump told reporters, "I just think he should be more appreciative because this country has stuck with them through thick and thin." But what really set Trump off was a statement Zelensky made over the weekend, saying the war is still very, very far away from ending. Trump took to social media, calling it the worst statement he could have made. He accused Zelensky of not wanting peace and suggested that Ukraine is relying too heavily on American support. Trump pointed out that European leaders have admitted they cannot support Ukraine without U.S. help, something he believes is a sign of weakness. So, what does this mean for Ukraine? Right now, the Trump administration is weighing several key options, including pressuring both Ukraine and Russia into a ceasefire, reducing U.S. intelligence sharing with Ukraine, halting or cutting back U.S. military funding. Some officials have even suggested that Zelensky should publicly apologize for his behavior in the Oval Office before discussions can move forward. Meanwhile, Trump's stance is creating a divide between the U.S. and its European allies. Leaders from Britain, France, and Canada recently met in London without Trump and reaffirmed their full support for Ukraine. One of the biggest concerns right now is whether the U.S. will stop sending military aid to Ukraine. The U.S. Army has been covering the cost of shipping weapons and training Ukrainian troops, which has added up to hundreds of millions of dollars. Without additional funding from Congress, these operations may have to slow down or stop completely. A Pentagon official told CNN that, as of Sunday, weapons were still being sent to Ukraine, including hundreds of guided multiple-launch rocket systems, GMLRS, anti-tank weapons, thousands of artillery rounds. But for how much longer? That remains uncertain. Not everyone is on board with Trump's approach. Even some Republicans are worried about what this could mean for U.S. foreign policy. Senator Lisa Murkowski voiced her concerns over the weekend, saying she feels sick to her stomach about the possibility of America pulling back from Ukraine. Meanwhile, Trump's team insists their goal is not to abandon Ukraine, but to find a way to end the war. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz told Fox News, "What became so evident to us in that meeting was that Zelensky is not ready to talk peace at all." So, what happens now? The Trump administration is still in discussions, and no final decision has been made. But one thing is clear: relations between the U.S. and Ukraine are more strained than ever. Could Trump really pull U.S. support for Ukraine? Could this shift the balance of power in the war? We'll be watching closely as this story develops.